Just so you have it on camera and on sight lines, you need to be. And if you talk to this hand,
Yeah, hello, little hand.
That's basically where you want your eyesight.
Yeah, nice.
So I'm hiding behind here.
Yeah, nice.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So we've got it on camera. Can I have your name and your involvement in this project?
Well, my name's Anne Addison, and I've been helping Avril and excited about this project for several years now. I'm a neighbour, I live in the parish, and we're hoping to live here. My husband and our 12-year-old daughter.
And how important do you think it is to have, or what do you feel is the local need for a community like this?
Well, I know the need is massive. Community is what's wanted by so many people, and it answers so many people's needs. There are many community-minded people around in this area, but having something actually purpose-built where community is the centre of the design and the layout allows so much more to happen, and I'm so excited about the prospect of that happening here.
And what's unique about this project? And
well, it's the co-housing factor really that's so exciting. I've got friends in a co-housing project, housing in Stroud and in Dorset, and I've been looking for opportunities to find somewhere that could really fit in this area. Now, nearly 10 years. The possibility when you've got people living together in a designed community of actually realising some of the ideals that many people want, really creating something where so many needs can be met easily by the community, needs of support, of sociability. We see the services dwindling in Herefordshire and everywhere, and so much can be provided within a community when the resources are so great within a community here.
And on a personal side, what do you think this project addresses for you in terms of a lifestyle and how you want to?
Well, it offers a more simple way of living. We won't need the space that we need at the moment. My family are coming back for Christmas. There's 5 children and all sorts of, and partners and family all coming to our home. We need quite a large house. There's only 3 of us though living in it, with the possibility of a shared housing and other people where they can stay. We can just live in a much smaller space and use the community house as spillover. Well, that's one thing. That I've got a little vegetable garden. It's frustrating of being quite small, and I'd love to garden communally with other people. There's real possibilities here. At times, we're not planning to keep much livestock at the moment, but at times we have shared livestock with people. Then you don't have to be home all the time. And that things don't have to be so organised to do things in groups and in communities. I've got a wish to set up some outdoor fire spaces and cooking spaces. That's a great thing to share. It's a lot of work to do just for yourself, but it can be, all these things can be shared. And then having just one child living at home but wanting her to be part of a much bigger family. So it's making new family in a creative way.
So within this community you've got social housing and you've got privately owned housing, you've got cross-generation.
Yes.
What do you think the community can do, or where do you think this community, if set up right, alleviates the pressure on local amenities in terms of the supporting of it?
Yeah, I mean that's right, the real brass tacks of it. There will be within, and some of that will still remain to be seen, because we're not yet a fully formed community. But the idea of having a carpool, of having shared cars and transport, of having many resources for childcare, for looking after people who might be unwell, or thinking of the resource. I was talking to somebody locally who was telling me about the lack of support now for talking books, and then whatever those sorts of needs might be, there will be ways within a community of all these people, of such a number of people, of meeting all sorts of needs. Things like Meals on Wheels and other support that's so dwindling.
What was the brief that was sent to the architects? What areas were you addressing in your brief?
Oh, I'll just have to talk to my friend about that. Let's think. I don't know. But my own personal brief is community compost. I'm excited by the idea of community composting, and the thought of all the cars that go trundling up to the dump in Hereford, and then the stuff actually gets transported yet again, just to compost green matter, which could be done on site in small areas. That's something I'm really excited that could happen, along with some community gardening, and that's for me part of where my heart and enthusiasm is.
What do you think the greater impact is on just your immediate neighbours to the development will be? What's the sort of things that might be able to enhance people's experience of living in this area?
I think it will be, community spreads, and it takes ideas, but when people see things in action, it's so much easier to both join in and start things going yourself. So having a focus for something enables ideas and things to change. So I think people will be really pleased to have the sort of the ideas of collectiveness, of the possibilities of joining in things, and then once you see that things could be different, actually getting on with it. And I can't think what to say really.
Okay.
It needs to be something much more concrete.
No, you're doing really, really well. Can you just pick up on your composting and point about community gardening and produce being grown locally that could be shared or sold locally?
Yeah.
And that, because you talked about it in terms of composting, not creating all of that travel time and that journey time.
Yeah.
For food, what could be better than growing food locally, eating it locally, cutting out all of those processes of food, the carbon footprint of that? Because again, going back to this is all linked back to the planning and them saying, well, actually you're going to have to use your car more because you can't walk up that lane. Well, actually we can grow our food here, which means that someone doesn't have to transport that food. So if you could try and just capture that, that would be brilliant. And also, just one other thing, just linking back to the last question, in terms of if you could say something around the fact that if people get the opportunity,
it's the concreteness of that, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just thinking in terms of them being able to stick with the bit around the food and the growing and the lack of carbon footprint in terms of food being travelled around. Yeah, for that.
Okay. You're rolling through, Martin.
Yeah.
So a real highlight for you in terms
the idea about the composting and the gardening, I think around growing things, of making compost and then growing crops, of having community involvement in growing our own food, sharing that with neighbours, the enthusiasm for actually gardening in groups and really growing some of our own food, lowering our carbon footprint and showing people how much is possible on relatively small areas. And I know those ideas spread. I was up in South Shropshire recently, where they've got a little community allotment and gardening scheme, and they've had cooking days, they had a foraging day, all with local people coming in and all going home with produce that they felt their sense of belonging, people's sense of belonging from having grown food, processed it, eaten together as community, is such a way to create this in a real way, this sense we're looking for of belonging, and responsibility comes with that.
Cool. We got about the reduction of carbon.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
What else? Like what you're saying about?
No, I was just thinking, is that the only thing actually that was something different? I thought as a standalone, because this will all be edited.
Yeah. I realise that. That's why it's not
as a standalone statement. Because there was like a couple of sentences there where it was like, right, that will be one snippet, and then just as another snippet, you saying something like, if people can, there's so much temptation to, just buy frozen food from the supermarket. If people can be part of that, can learn how fun and how simple cooking can be, people are going to be healthier.
Yes.
And again,
and it's about
reducing the burden on public services.
Yes.
People.
It's about both physical and mental health.
Yes.
And that the joy of making food, of being with people, and of sharing things, and of course growing your own healthy food. Well, it's the carbon footprint again. It's physical health, being outdoors, and collecting with people, and mental health. Big issues in our time. And it's fun. Yeah.
So, the director is saying cut now.
Ah, is he? Okay. Have I done enough? I was always very inspired by my friend Nicholas Albury.
And his... I'm sorry. I'm just going
to... Okay.
Start recording myself.
Okay. I was always very inspired by my friend Nicholas Albury and his social inventions, and one of his ideas was that when people wanted people to come round, he had the idea that you hung out a flag. It was just a sign that people were free to come round for coffee. And various people have tried that in lots of areas, and it works. It's a lovely way. Just put some sort of notice that people have that you're home and the kettle's on, and people can come. So a very simple social idea that can change round the feeling of being lonely and isolated to actually being part of community, and that's one of the ideas that I'm looking forward to starting.
Sorry, can I just ask you to do one more thing, picking up on that idea? Okay, so yes, there'll be things that are that just happen in Larkrise. So it might be coffee mornings at Larkrise.
Yes.
But actually, because of the way that you want to be a conscious community and want to benefit the wider community, it could be things like coming up with that initiative. And it doesn't mean people have to come here, but maybe people start that out there in the wider community and have that, and maybe that encourages them to start. And I know you've picked up on it previously, but I just thought, because again, I'm just thinking
ideas like that spread.
Yes.
So you can have an idea like that, you can try it, maybe it needs to start almost be looked after in a little community, but ideas spread when you see them in practice, like co-housing. And when I think of, and that wouldn't need to, it's not about being exclusive to that group. Yes, we'll need a bit of time to get going, but it's also, it will be inviting. People will, who want to come, can come. But also the ideas spread. Once you start something, it catches on. A good idea always spreads.
And I think the one last thing, is about because was it you who I was talking with about, the council are going to have this all singing, all dancing community officer post, which is going to basically take care of all the council's cuts, and is going to make the local shopkeeper check on the people who might be dead or might have broken their leg or something and haven't got anyone to look after them. I think if we can get some kind of message that actually you see yourselves, and it comes back to your point about social responsibility beyond just your own little, and about working with the council to find ways of, not just in your community, but in other communities, championing ways.
Championing and piloting.
Yes, championing and piloting, and coming up with ideas that allow all communities to be more supportive and independent of the council and its services.
Yes, there's a strong need here to be independent, to be both independent and innovative. And ideas do travel when you try them out. They work, and they work. Then they catch on. I think, and Herefordshire is this place of actually, as we know, a good proportion of the people are older, retired. There's a lot of enthusiasm for community here. It's a very special place, but it's whether you actually got a designed community that can work together so much easier, you can really start trying these things out that will really provide some of these needs that the council realise are there with these cuts in all the social areas. What else do I need to say on that?
It's almost like a pilot for a model of what community should be.
Yeah, and of course we'll be working it out. Communities of the future, and we'll be working it out as we go along, of course.
Give me a soundbite on that, because we're both cutting over you.
So
it is our wish, or?
So it's communities of the future that we're looking for, and to develop those resources that we'll need for that.